Welcome to Stampscapes Live. We have a piece of quarter page Deanna Tubsidio background paper here. As you can see, a series of clouds here. We're going to be stamping out a girl in a hammock here. And she's going to be overlooking this lakeside area with a lot of kind of fall foliage in here. Now, if I just stamp this all out on one piece of paper, we can do that, but we might have to do a little bit of masking around certain types of objects, and we'll show you how to use vellum, a piece of vellum, to alleviate the need for that type of, I don't know, whatever process, tedium, in my opinion, when it comes to a lot of super careful masking. All right, so let's get to it here. Let's see, let me stamp out this. I'll print my background in some dye bastings over this paper here. This paper is a matte paper, but it doesn't have these printer inks on there, so that seals it off a little bit. So you have to keep that in mind when stamping over these pre-printed papers, whatever they might be, even if they are a matte, type of surface. Okay, now doing it in the dye-based inks, it does allow me to go in here too and, add some other types of tones into these trees so I can have some color inherent in the impression too. So I'm just going on with these Marvy watercolor pens right here. It's mostly going to be dark black, but I want to, if I can have a little tinge of some of these colors in here. It'll just kind of give me a little bit of a head start when I do start adding in some different tones into the impression here. So they call it watercolor, I don't know, whatever, the watercolor technique when you color your stamps, you blend colors on the rubber itself. All right, let's see here. Let's go with about like so. I'm going to hold this down. I'm standing up, first of all, because it's a large stamp with a lot of surface area. But then I'll just stamp and hold for a little while when it comes to this combination of media and surface, just so that it allows that ink to transfer and kind of soak into the paper a little bit. Dye-based inks work by staining a surface. Okay, some inks are more topical. They lay on the surface of your papers and materials that you're stamping on, but the dye-based inks want to penetrate and absorb a little bit. So when we're doing it into printer inks, you have to kind of hold down for a little bit longer, okay? All right, so we have that like that, all right? Now, we have all those clouds and everything that are showing through, but I'm not gonna worry about that one because I'm going to be covering that up anyway, and I'm going to be doing a lot of coloring over the top of that, okay, like that. All right, so we'll just try to make this a fairly quick process here. Let's go ahead and heat set this a little bit. This would dry probably in 2 or 3 minutes, but since it's a live stream, we'll expedite the process. I was just going to do this on a piece of white paper, then I saw this piece by Deanna that I still had, and I thought, let's use this one. It might be fun. Hello, Linda. Thanks for dropping in. Yeah, it's going to just be the vellum technique, which you've seen a gazillion times. You've seen all the techniques a gazillion times, though. Thanks for dropping in to say hi, though. Okay, now I can color this. You can color this. I'm just using some alcohol markers here, but you can certainly use a colored pencil. We'll go a little bit vibrant here so that when I do use that vellum over the top of it, it will knock it down somewhat. So going kind of vibrant in the background, it's probably a good idea just because the vellum is translucent. It's not transparent. So it's going to knock down the values and the intensity of whatever you apply in here. All right, now that some of that red's still a little bit wet, and while alcohol and water don't really mix, it's just kind of smearing it out a little bit, but that's okay. So I'm going to purposely go a little bit brighter here than maybe I normally would, because I just want to make a point of, you know, utilizing that vellum to block out the background, and just how we're able to avoid a lot of, you know, kind of tedious masking around certain types of objects. Just that we're not stamping in them if we're doing it on one piece of paper. So if you work it in layers like this, it's just one kind of approach that makes it a little bit easier, and you can create a little bit more depth at the same time. All right, so there's some yellow in there, and then we'll do a little bit of blending. Linda, so I was looking at that. So I was looking at that piece you posted with those fall tones, and I thought, yeah, we got to try that out. You know, those really super bright green trees, and what was it, like red in there, and I don't know, maybe some orange or something like that. I wasn't trying to do it here, but I thought about the autumn kind of background. We could do any background we want in this whatever example that I'm doing with here with the vellum, but I don't know. I chose this one because of that post you shared on Facebook. All right, let's see. Going like that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that was some sort of dig, you know, type of rendering, that photo. So, you know, when they're using, you know, just some program to create it, you know, and it's all on the computer, so it's all colored light. But I don't know, we can reference it and come up with something, you know, in the spirit of it, though. I don't know if we can get that same intensity, though. So what we're talking about, if anyone's watching this, is Linda posted this. It's kind of like a dig, you know, kind of jacked up photo. It might be a photo. I'm not sure if it was AI, but it was kind of a forested fall toned scenario with a lot of super bright colors and a lot of very definitive different colors within that kind of color scheme. So there was these really red trees, really orange ones, and I don't know if was there yellow in there? I can't remember, but it looked really awesome, you know. And it'd be really cool to kind of reference that when doing scenes, because even if you don't kind of get there, you know, you'll kind of get a nice, probably a brighter version of a scene that you were going to do as a result of, you know, trying to, you know, achieve that, you know, what was in that photo or whatever, and that rendering, I should say. Yeah, I know I would, because I just don't usually go that bright with my pieces, so I need to. I don't know. I need to do that sometime. The thing is, you know, when we're doing these types of media like this, it's, you know, when you're doing it on like a computer like that, it's easy to create, you know, real kind of different areas of tone. And when we're doing it on here, we're kind of blending, you know, certain colors together. And if we don't do that, like with, you know, the media that we're working with, sometimes it comes out a little bit, it comes out a little bit disparate. It, you know, the tones don't blend in as much as with like colored light, you know, doing stuff on a computer screen. All right, let's go in here with a little bit of contrast and texture with our, I'm using the 3mm acrylic paint pen, yellow, kind of a canary yellow here. And again, this is going to be behind this right here. So again, I'm not going to spend too much time with this background because, you know what I mean, it's going to be blocked off a lot. But I do want to get some kind of nice foundation for that, you know, the foreground imagery that's going to be in here. All right, so the background can kind of look, I don't know, like impressionistic or something like that too. All right, let's see. While I'm doing this, thanks to Deanna for sharing her background papers with me. It's certainly been fun to kind of explore the usage of them and to use them, utilize them in my pieces. All right. Let's go with this paint pen here. And I'm going to reintroduce the lightness of these trunks in here. After coloring them out, you know, for the most part. And some of them I'm kind of inventing them where the trunk really doesn't exist, okay? And then you can go in with some little branches like this. And again, a lot more heavy-handed than I would normally do, but again, all this is going to get covered up. So you do the reflections of those lighter trees right down here in the water as well. All right. Kind of going fast like this, it's giving the piece a different spirit. It's like Eric Carle, or I don't know, a children's book illustrator, kind of a little bit more, I don't know, not whimsical, but kind of. All right, let's add in a little bit of this. Okay, so we have these soft clouds in the background provided by the paper that we're using. So I am going to, this is what I'd like to do. I don't know if I really need to do this again, because again, this is going to be right over the top of it like that. I don't want to touch it down because some of those acrylic paints are still a little bit wet. But I can add in a bit of that cloudy type of texturing right here in the foreground, which, being that it's in the paper itself or in the background, you know, it doesn't have to be, you know, pre-printed, you know, paper like this, but we can do clouds in the background like this, stamp over it, and then do something like this in the foreground. So it's just kind of adding in a similar texture in the foreground that's in the background. You have clouds in the front, you have kind of this cloud in the front, or cloud in the back, cloud in the front, okay? Like that. All of this, some of this coming right over the top of it, so it looks like the light is kind of coming in from, yeah, let's do this whole thing. Let's do this right here. This is kind of a different area of the Autumn Brook here. And it kind of has this water that winds around back here. So these are kind of trees that are closer to us. So I just put a little bit of this white pigment ink right in here. So it kind of pushes that, you know, back portion of the stamp design into the background like that. So it seems like a little bit closer and far. So we're kind of pushing and pulling a little bit on the distance within this image, this one impression. So you can get a lot of dimension in a single impression just with your use of a little bit of pigment ink on it like that. Okay, so let me do some things here to, let's do this right here. So these are just general types of background papers, so we can go in, add additional tones in here. I'm going to do it with the colored pencil in here. And what we'll do is, you know, being that this has been stamped out right here, I'll kind of establish a little bit more of a shoreline right here. Or, I don't know, whatever, shadow areas. With a little bit of blue. Linda, what are you going to try that, what would you try that scene in terms of medium? Would you go with a lot of like paint pens on it, or just hit it with a lot of inks or something like that? Oh, Claire inks, okay. Yeah. That might do it. I'm going to get some more Brilliance inks and Claire's before too long. All right, so see this right here? We're just giving that a little bit more tone. We're bringing in some of those blues from the top down here. It's a different tone of blue, but... and I like to leave my center area a little bit light, but then let's go to this blue right here, which is a little bit closer to this blue. And we'll blend in a little bit more color. I like this card right now here, just as is, Linda. It's too bad we're going to be covering it all up. See, it's kind of bringing that same kind of value down into this lower section, like that. Okay, let's see, is that all dry now? So look like that, all right. All right. The Claire inks are really vibrant. That sounds good. It'll give us a good option if we can utilize something like really, really light. Okay, so this is the mossy trunks. I'm going fairly large right here. Let me get my bearings right here. And I'm going to use that girl in that hammock. Okay, so that's going to be like that. Like that. Where is she? Okay, let's see. We need to leave room here for her. Okay, so this one's just going to be right here, right on the edge, and then... Okay, so I'm not going to have too many of these trees, too much of the trees. It looks like just one. It's 3 trunks right here, but I'll be using, for the most part, this one and this one, without that center one. And we'll come into it from the edge. And I'm going to have it kind of up, you know, so we'll create a near shoreline right down here, like that. All right, so Linda, I'm going to do this one in the StazOn. You said the StazOn works just fine with the Vellum, right? In terms of printing and drying time and all that. All right. So let's do that. Looks pretty good, nice and, it's not super dark, but pretty dark. I think I'm going to hold it down a little bit longer the next time. Well, I don't know, actually it's pretty dark. When I hold it up like this, the light is coming through the back so it doesn't look as dark. All right. I was going to use one of the art foamies, but I thought, if I do the art foamy, I'd use like a Brilliance ink, but that kind of drying time is a little bit slower, and I didn't like having to wait around in a live stream for something to dry, so I thought the stays on, so that's the rubber image. All right. Yeah, I look forward to seeing those clairs then. So the clairs, though, it was like a bunch of trees. So you're going to stamp, are you going to create that whole kind of like hillside then separately with different components? Or are you going to get, or are you going to stamp something out and then use the clairs to color in, like put the clair on some kind of applicator, you mean? All right, like that. And let's see, we'll go like, actually, let me get my bearings here. Okay, it's like that, and we'll go with her about like so, I think. Like that. I gotta put her up with some of that stuff in the background, otherwise if I stamp her out down here, it could have been all on the same page. There's no masking needed. And the trees are kind of dark enough where you don't need to mask them, but I'll go about like so. Okay, about right up here. Yeah. I don't want to make her too high, otherwise, it's like one of those things that her to have to get like up on a ladder to get up in the hammock. It's funny. There's this video. I don't know where it was. I think I saw it on YouTube. But it's this bear that's trying to get up in a hammock. To like, I don't know, whatever, kick back in a hammock, and it's driving him nuts. It looked like some humans though trying to get up in the hammock sometime. But the bear was like, it might have got up there. I'm not sure. All right. So this design here too has been designed where you don't have to get those ropes down perfectly. What you do is you just take and then you extend them out however long you want it to go. You can even put like a little rope around, the tree if you want to, like this. All right. Now, if I put her just like this, I need to do the grass down below too. See, everything kind of just shows right through. So what we'll do is we'll do some blocking out from the backside. And let's see, let's get our grass down here first with the sedge filler. That. Okay, that grassy area. I don't really need to block that out because Deanna's paper just kind of transitions to light down there, so I don't need to block that out. But I'll need to block out some of this stuff right around in here and on the trunks like that from the back. But let's do this while we're doing all this stamp. Let's just get all the stamping out of the way here. I mean, I might do a little bit more, but let's do the front side of this right now. Hello, Cynthia. Good evening. Yeah, check out that replay. Yeah, you don't even need to check it out. Just go scroll to the end, and you guys can see how this comes out. weekend went really by fast. It's like, I want to get in a scene right here, but do it like a quick scene. All right, and let's go with some grassy foreground, like about like so. All right, so we have that right there, and that is going to go right over the top of this with some spray adhesive. And then see, I didn't need to mask off any of this type of thing in here because we're just going to be blocking it out from the back. And thus the beauty of Vellum, it makes our life easier with certain types of techniques. You know, I was thinking too, on the back side of this, you know, I was thinking if you have like an acrylic paint pen, you might be able to just kind of block it out with this. I'm going to try that here. Or I don't know. That might take a little bit of time to dry. Let's try it anyway, since I brought it up here. Okay, so normally I just use the Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White, and I just paint right on here, okay, with the paintbrush to block out the trees from the background. Okay, now I'm doing this on the back side of the vellum here. Okay. Hello, Clara. How are you? Thanks for checking out the vid. Okay, now remember, I'm doing this on the back side of vellum. All of this has been stamped on the front side, although I did it all in StazOn. So you probably could put some, you know, on the front. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to paint some of this just on the back side. And again, okay, so if this is like an experiment here for me. Using some acrylic paint pen here, like this. And then again, it's not smearing anything on here because everything has been stamped on the opposite side of this paint pen here. All right, so let's see if we can go with it. You know, a lot of people just don't have something like you know, the Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White, but they all, you know, a lot of us have paint pens. Now, I don't know if I would bother doing this with like a 0.7 extra fine tip paint pen. That might take a little while, but you know, I don't know. I guess it could work, or a correctional pen maybe. Like this. Okay, now this is where I'm just going and coloring in. You don't really need to color in the black areas of the imagery, just the open areas. So like this hammock right here, that open area of that. So something like that. So what I've done, hopefully, is I've created a little bit of opacity right there, so that when this covers up this, now see how opaque she is, but all the detail is in the image though still, because we've painted on the back of it. We haven't blocked any of it out. Okay, so this is what this will kind of look like, right? And then we just color in her with colored pencils over the top of the vellum. So I thought, you know, that pen, I don't know, I thought that worked okay here. You know, the Dr. Martin's Bleed Proof White is going to be more opaque, but I could go over that again with more, you know, one more layer of acrylic paint, and I think it would be fine. So it's good to know, you know, as an option there, or if there's just some areas that are, you know, I don't know, you can't get in with a brush, although that's easy to do. That should be a nice option for us. All right, so let's see. Give me 2 minutes here, and then we'll marry these two together. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, I have two options here. I can either spray this with my spray adhesive, or I could spray this with my spray adhesive, okay? Sometimes if I spray this with my spray adhesive, though, sometimes it starts, you know, the vellum starts curling and everything like that. Where if you spray it on here, it'll stay nice and, you know, flat. So I think I'm going to opt to spray this. and then apply this over the top of this as opposed, to this one, okay? So, let's see. Back in 60 seconds. Give me about a minute here, and I'm going to go, because I don't spray anything indoors. I always spray aerosol types of things outdoors. All right, so I'll be back with that. All right, 3M Super 77 spray adhesive. There's a lot of different types of spray adhesives out there, and I would imagine they're all fine. I've always used the Super 77, though. It's what we were told to use in like art school and things like that, or design classes. And then I was reminded of it years later. This one, art manufacturer of panels. Okay, now you see I'm kind of laying it down right here. Because once you get to kind of start setting it down, you're kind of stuck, you can't like, I guess you could peel it off a little bit, but as soon as you go like midway, that's like the point of no return. So just try to get it as straight as you can. And then what I usually do is I trim the edges a little bit more, okay? And I'm doing this from one side to the other side, just so that I don't get an air bubble, okay? Which sometimes I get, doing this type of thing. Usually not with the quarter pages, because it's usually not too hard. All right, so now you have this woman on here in the trees like that, and it looks like it's really kind of out from the background, where if you did this on one piece of paper, it would look a little bit different. It would look okay. But you would have to kind of mask around her if you had a bunch of stuff behind her and the trees, okay? Because they're not silhouettes. So this is like an easy way to do that. And plus this looks like it's kind of a different texture. It's a different, the blacks are now gray and behind the vellum, right? Because the vellum's kind of translucent. It's not completely clear. It's not transparent. So it gives you a lot of depth. So it's like a really easy way to do it. And just, in this case, it was just the acrylic paint pen. So I'm really glad to kind of test that out. And it, I don't know, it seems like it worked just fine. Okay, so let's go in here. And now you just color in over the top of the vellum here. All right. So let's see, let's add a little bit of color to this trunk right here. All right. And a couple different tones of brown, maybe. Anyone have any ideas for the hammock color? The hammock color and her hat. What color do you think we should do for that? All right, a little bit of coloring on her. So color, then dry emboss. Is that red? You want red for the hammock, Linda? Or the hat, her hat? Or both? Could be. All right, let's put a little bit of kind of mossy tones into that tree like that. And let's do this grassy area down below. I'm just going with a really light version of this green right now, not like that. Okay. Yeah, you can kind of hit it a little bit in the shadow areas like this at the base of the trees. A little bit like that. Boy, it's really starting to come out now that we're kind of rendering that the vellum, you know, rendering me, you know, bringing shadows and form into it. Now remember, if there was a lot of stuff behind this grassy area, you know, other imagery in the background, then I would have blocked off the grassy area from the back, just like I did the trees and the figure. Maybe both. Okay, let's see. Okay, let's give it a try. All right, so if this hammock and this woman's hat isn't looking quite right, it's not my fault here. I'm joking. No, I think it's a good. That'll be a good choice. I think it'll bring them out a little bit more. You know, her from the background. And by the way, so I posted that video of that full-size vinyl holographic sticker paper piece that we did on the Friday night live stream. But I colored the little kid's like winter jacket with red. I mean, you can't see it too much because, you know, the kid's like largely silhouette, but yeah, it needed a little bit of like attention on the kid a little bit more. So I thought the red, I don't know, whatever provided that. Okay, so when I'm going in with the darker tones, you can see those textures in the grass already. That's already inherent in the design, the sedge, you know, filler stamp. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm basically coloring in these little spots with this. Okay. So if you're ever kind of wondering, oh, where do I, you know, add shadows in this? Well, one of the things that you can do is you can just kind of go into it, the areas that are already darker on the design, and you can darken those. Okay, no, but here's what I'm going to do too. Right around these trees right here. At the base of the trees, there's usually some kind of shadow being cast by the tree trunks, or, you know, the trees, the structures, like that. And here, I'll do this too. Like, maybe the light is coming from above here, so I'll give a little bit of, like, darker area under here. You know, like she's casting a shadow like this. You know, that hammock right there, so let's go in there like that. And see, it seems a little bit more... Here, let's go with a darker green. We're just kind of layering different values of green in here. Like this. Okay. All right, let's hit that hat and hammock there. Like that. Okay, let's see. We'll go nice and light. I think that looks pretty cool. Go with her hat. I'm kind of working from the back of her hat to the front of it. We'll go a little bit lighter in the front. Maybe leave a little bit of... I was going to leave it a little bit light or white, but now let's go and color it all in. Like that. Do a little bit of variation like that. Okay. Here's a little bit more of a, like a cranberry. Oh, this is magenta. I thought it was like a cranberry red. And we'll hit this into these darker areas. The back of her hat, maybe. Let's see. This is like one of those really tiny little details. What should she be drinking? I thought about like, she's sipping it out of like a straw though, so I don't, I was gonna do like red wine or something like that, but let's do, all right, she's drinking some kind of like exotic cocktail. I'm gonna put a little bit of blue in there though. Just because I don't know, it just stands out a little bit more against these other tones, I think. Let's put a little bit of warmth into that red. Here's a little bit of a warm red. Warm red is the color of the Domino's pizza whatever logo. And I know that because when I was in high school, I was working at Domino's Pizza, and I was in graphic arts, so they had me do these car signs, Domino's Pizza magnetic car signs to go on our delivery cars. Just so that, they didn't have like those things that go on the top of the roof, that are lit up and stuff like that. This is back in the 80s, so they didn't have anything like that. So I silk screened out in my graphic arts class these Domino's pizza things. So I had to get some paint that would dry on magnetic sticker paper. And warm red was the color, so we were able to find that somewhere. And I was able to use that in my class, warm red. All right, let's bring a little of this brown into this grassy area down here, like that. Okay, and I'm bringing a little bit of this brown in here just to kind of mellow some of those tones out a little bit more like that. Let's get a little bit more tone into this trunk right here. I'm getting a little bit more contrast in these trunks. Just to bring them out a little bit more. All right, that's the brown. Now let's go all the way to the black, and luckily the Prismacolor black is fairly soft, so it applies over the top of the other colors really nicely. Sometimes you get a little built up with colored pencil, and then you find your colored pencils aren't applying onto your surfaces as easily as the undertones layers of a colored pencil. It's because you're kind of going colored pencil into colored pencil. But if you go kind of softer over harder, the softer ones can apply easily, because they come off the off the pencil easier. Whereas if you kind of go with harder ones over the top of, like, you're trying to go into wax, it's kind of hard sometimes. All right, I think that should do it here. I'm looking for, okay, here we go. One thing I should have done before I did I don't know, it might have taken too long for it to dry. I should have done some of those leaves on the back of the vellum, but I should have stamped them out in red on the back of the vellum, and then did the black on the front of them. That would have given us an extra layer of colored leaves in the foreground, to kind of match what's going on in the background a little bit. But I don't know. Okay, let's add in a little bit of this. 'Cause, 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 acrylic paint pen texturing on our grass, stuff that's going on in the background. And we'll add it in the foreground like this. It doesn't have to be the same colors, but no, it could be, but this adds in some extra texturing and kind of sparkle. I changed my mind. Let's do a little bit of that tone. I didn't change my mind, but we'll add this into the mix. I'll add in, I don't want to go with too many big old bold paint pen dots up here, but yeah, let me see. Let me go with some yellow right in here. Here, let's go with the yellow. Where's my yellow paint pen that I just used? Where'd the paint pen go? Did I already put it away? I think it was the other one. That one that's a little bit brighter. Wherever it is. Okay. I'm going to add some of these larger little dots right in here. Maybe it represents some leaves falling on the ground or something like that. We'll do it in that. That's okay. And we'll go with orange as well. How's that? I go like so, and let's heat set that a little bit. Let me bring a little bit of pigment ink in this, and that should finish it off, I think. All right. White pigment ink. I thought about the miniature leaves down here too. It might look okay, but I thought, let's just keep this one flat, and then, you know, hopefully it has the illusion of, you know, kind of dimension and depth in here. Where if I use the leaves, it would be cool too, but it would actually be going into 3-dimension. All right, so let's see. A little bit of this mist right in here, which is present in the background like that. I guess if I wanted to add more, I guess I can add that over the top of the vellum too. I'm just kind of curious to see if it would look like it's, you know, kind of in the distance still, and I guess it does. Like that, if I want to tweak it a little bit more like that, see that kind of push that background a little bit more. I just added some white pigment ink like right there, and a little bit right down in there. All right, and let's go with a little bit on this side. Let me do something too. Let me get that cloud up there. I'm going to make it look a little bit kind of more softer in one area to get a little bit of variation. Like that. Yeah. It's getting a little bit cooler, so I thought I would do a kind of a, you know, whatever. A warm scene. Memories of autumn, you know. Memories of last week. Because it's cooled down a little this week. I'm going to put a little mask right here just so I can get a little of this mist right here without covering up this other area down below. Like that. See, it's like you can kind of mask off some areas. Like if you don't want it over this whole area, you can just put a little paper towel mask like that. And I think that should do it there. Let me push that back a little bit right above her head. Now that she's right there, I'm just kind of put a little white pigmenting behind her like that to push this back in the distance a little bit more like that. All right, so your shimmering waters a little bit more, a little bit of those dot textures down there like that. Little shimmer on the water. Let me see. Sometimes you add a little bit and it's like, I need to balance it off a little bit more, so. A little bit of highlights on the side of the trees. All right. So anyways, the vellum technique on, that's distracting right there. Those little colored scribbles everywhere. The vellum technique to remove, to eradicate certain types of processes I consider kind of like tedium, which is a lot of careful masking, like around this type of figure like that. Now, one of the things you can do, some people, they stamp the objects out, they cut out that mask, and then they just always keep that mask with the stamp, if it's an unmounted stamp or something like that, or wherever they store it, it's just in that compartment with the stamp, which is a really great idea. So if you're just doing this on a single piece of paper, you just pull out that Post-it note mask, that they've cut out or something like that, and they just tack it down wherever they're going, and you're all set to go. I don't do that. I probably should, at least with certain designs. I had it on certain designs, but not on very many. And I'm not that organized in terms of where I store my stamps either. So, they don't go back in the same compartment all the time. So, this, I don't know, this really kind of answers the, I don't know, whatever types of issues that, certain images might have in terms of that one aspect of it, masking. So things like birch trees, I've used those in the past, but then when I started using it with the vellum, it's like, oh my God, the vellum, I use those birch trees all the time, after I've, figured out that, what you can do with the, with the vellum. So the vellum just makes like so much certain things a lot easier in terms of creating depth, where I don't want to be cutting out a bunch of masks and so on and so forth. So the most masking that I tend to do, it's like a little bit of a paper towel, cutout or something like that. But there are certain images that, that where a little bit more of a careful mask is, kind of comes into play. And like layered forests, are kind of one of them, where you have a lot of like super layered depth within a piece. A lot of things in the background going on. So anyway, and then the vellum kind of creates a little bit more depth too. I could never do this type of look right here, I don't think, just stamping on one piece of paper. I'd have to stamp out in gray or something like that and do these muted types of tones, Where the vellum just, you just do whatever you want, then you put the vellum right over the top of it and it takes care of that. So easy techniques for, I don't know, slightly, tedious types of processes, making them easier to do. And you get the bonus of the depth at the same time. So yeah, the red worked out good, Linda. That was a good choice there, I thought. Kind of brings pops out our kind of our subject matter a little bit more with the red. All right. Anyway, thanks for checking out the scene. I'll format this. I'll, throw it in a little mat or something like that. But let's see, how long does this take right here? It's 55 minutes. Not too bad, But I think we can do it even faster, perhaps, now that I know kind of what I'm doing. But with the, that acrylic paint pen worked pretty good in terms of the blocking out. So if I had a huge amount of area to block out, I don't know if I would use my acrylic paint pen because I don't want to, these aren't refillable. But for certain types of applications like that, that worked great. And it was really fast too. And the acrylic dried pretty fast too. So I don't know, makes for a good option in terms of vellum usage. And a lot of people have the paint pens already. So yeah, you got to see it all, Linda. Wasn't like a 2 hour whatever card creation, huh? All right, good night, everyone. Hope you have a great rest of the evening, and hope your week goes is a pleasant one. Drop me a note if you ever have any questions on any of these types of techniques.